Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome to Adventures in History. Today's topic is Dearest Mother, Love Ruthie. Ruth Smallshaw Ray's Letters to Her Mother, 1944, Part 3. 818 13th Street, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, February 13th, 1944. At the top of the letter she wrote, Mom and Pop's envelope not right size. Hope Mom didn't mind waiting until noon. Or did she wait, eh? Dearest Mom, Pop, and Bud, it's swell to get your 3 letters again and hear the news which interests each one of you most. It's really interesting to hear how 3 people so bound up in each other yet have so many divergent interests. A broad-minded family mind. I don't think I've stressed enough how much impression your picture has made on my friends. I carry the one of you 3 in my wallet, and everyone sees you. I introduce both Gordon and Ted to you. Gordon was quite certain Mom was me. Everyone remarks on how young you both look, and they all think Bud's very handsome. I'm quite certain that most of my friends like me because you look so nice. It would be terrific if I had a fat old mother and father and a crummy George M. for a brother, yet I'd love you just the same. But it is nice that you're so nice. So I had to say that because I think it so often. Say, I'm sorry the house deal is off. I really hope something swell turns up. Fireplace, extra lots, location, 22 etc. on Elphinstone is good, and Bud can still go to Scott. 11 Althol was okay though. Anyway, I've been praying that it'll work out. You'll hate to move when you get the house looking so nice though. A terrific amount of things have been happening to me, although it may not sound so to you. I got a B in my English essay. Not so wonderful. It certainly was. 5 teachers at school who take English all got C's and 1 D, and mine was 2 weeks late. Uh-oh. Talk about a swelled head I'm going to get. You see, they grade you 1 lower than you would be if you attended the class, the girl told me. Okay, eh? So I'm an A student, maybe. Anyway, Marion was bemoaning the fact that she worked so hard on her English, did it 3 times and only got a C minus. And I scribbled mine out once, handed it in 2 weeks late, and got a B. I was so darn mad because this was at the dinner table in front of Pridmore, etc., and it gave the impression that I was lazy, which everyone knows anyway. However, someone said, maybe she's got brains, eh? Did that ever work? Because that was not the idea she was trying to put over. Oh, I'm a cat. Cat. Meow. Oh, I was away from school for a few days. Ted's boyfriend phoned to say he had scarlet fever and wouldn't be around for a month or so. I was rather worried because I was out with him just a couple of days before. Anyway, when my temperature went up and I got a sore throat, I was quite worried, so confided in the nurse. She sent me home, and of course the whole school knew in about 2 minutes. Mr. Downer went and asked her how close my contact had been with scarlet fever, indoors or outdoors. Honest are some people nosy, narrow-minded, etc. Anyway, it was just a cold and swollen glands. I'm sure glad it wasn't scarlet fever because I'm quite thrilled about... You remember me saying Marshall, Miriam's brother, would be home for Easter, then he decided to come next week. Well, he wrote Miriam to ask her if I'd save next Saturday night for him, and if I'd like to go to the supper dance at the Bessborough Hotel if I'd go. Swell, eh? Of course I have no formal evening dress, so I didn't know. Marion thinks I oughtn't to because I can't afford it, and I might never use it again. Marion also didn't think I ought to get my coat. She's not getting one until after she's married, so the novelty won't be worn off. But I might wait forever. Miriam thinks I ought to get a dress. She'd loan me hers, but her brother knows her evening gowns. Anyway, I don't want a borrowed one. However, she said that she could think of 4 or 5 functions to which I might be wearing it if I got one. Then Gordon phoned this morning, Sunday, about 12 o'clock, and asked if I'd go to his flight party at the Bessborough a week from the 23rd of Lent. Is it wrong? And so, should I or shouldn't I buy a dress? It's different borrowing one if you're with one set, but in Miriam's they all have 3 or 4. Marion still thinks I ought to stop going out with Miriam and her friends. Too high, etc. She says, but Miriam's very nice, and we have more things in common in ideas than Marion and I have. Anyway, we'll see. I'm quite thrilled about Marshall's invitation. I rather expected Gordon's. Mrs. Parrott also phoned Friday to tell me about Marshall's invitation. She told me she was glad I would accept, and she said that he was feeling better, he'd had a cold, and that he was looking forward to coming home. Miriam says that she was quite surprised that her mother seemed so happy about it. She says that both her mom and pop like me, and they hope Marshall and I will get along. Imagine. I mean, it's one thing to go out with someone, but to have their whole family interested makes you feel like, gee, I'd rather go to Regina this weekend, where it's nice and quiet, and my family don't expect so much of me. Gordon told me Thursday he'd be going to Edmonton next weekend, the one when Marshall will be down. I thought that was just swell, but when he phoned this morning, he said he changed his mind and was going to stay in Saskatoon for his 48, and he'd be seeing me. Not a question, a statement. I guess he'll be disillusioned or something. Anyway, things look okay now, but probably something will happen, and I'll be the one let down. So I should tell you after they happen, eh? Gordon and I were supposed to go to a dance Friday, but he had an exam Saturday morning, so we thought he'd better study. Then last night, Miriam's little affair she'd planned didn't pan out, so Marion and I went skating at the arena. I still can't skate alone, but had quite a few swell skates with different kids we know, and 2 brought us home, but nothing special. So this weekend has been quiet too. Miriam was up to see Ted in the isolation hospital, and she thinks I should go up, but I haven't had time. No class pin. I told you, it's definitely lost. I've looked and looked and no can find, and I'm still sad. It was swell to hear about Scott H&S Club. Now it's Bud, eh? It sort of hurts, baby me, as it used to be Ruth that was the pupil. Incidentally, Bud, that was pretty cute. After 4 o'clock, a wonderful time in any pupil's life. If you only knew how much more wonderful it is to be the teacher. This coming Friday is the Valentine party at the school. Tomorrow we give them a round. I got my first to my teacher one Friday from Albert Migdal. His mother sent it, but I really got a thrill. I've certainly changed a lot in a year, I think. It was exactly this time last year when I was practicing teaching grade 1. Now little boys are so human. I mean, they're so much more grown up than I ever took them to be, although I thought I was very understanding then. Of course, my whole life socially has changed very radically, mostly due to Miriam's influence. Say, have I mentioned how improved I'm getting in art? Probably have, as I'm very proud of it. Our art gallery, as Marion calls one wall of our front room, gets quite a lot of compliments, although not many authoritative judgment in the matter of art. However, very often people who look for a likeness in a picture are more severe critics than one who understands expression and interpretation. Say, I'm glad Bud got rimless glasses, and I'm glad. Has your forum party gone off yet? How's your dancing going? I wish I were better. I was sorry to hear about Fawkes. I read it in the paper first here and so knew about it. It would be happier if she went too, don't you think? But we'll see the way it's supposed to be. That's a definite sign of fate. People working and saving, and swish. Why? Why is Auntie Elsie leaving Estevan? Where for, etc.? 'Twas a nice letter from Chris, and Uncle Alf really has an interesting life, eh? I wrote Auntie Norma and sent the boys a valentine. I've only had a card from Bonnie at the coast, so she's probably having a good time. Maybe back by now. Heard from Connie, etc. Gee, I'm glad I'm not doing an everyday job in Regina like Alice. Life is so interesting up here, mostly due to the university influence. It's really funny how so many people think I'm a varsity student. The grocery boy just about fainted when he saw me downtown with 11 17-year-olds going to the show and didn't quite understand how I could be a teacher. Other people think I'm 21, at least, or so they say. Write but quick, folks, and if you have any definite opinions regarding gowns, send some, as Miriam is going shopping with me and has decided on blue net or jersey with three-quarter sleeves and a high neck. All my love, Ruth. 927 Saskatchewan Crescent, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, February 20th, 1944. Dear Mom, Pop, and Bud, thanks $1.5 million for the swell parcels, and the Valentine card was quite a surprise. Bud, little did I realize how wonderful I am. Now don't start writing epistles to take me down a peg or three. Anyway, dears, I really appreciated everything, and I did get some very nice Valentine reminder cards, letters, and stuff. Oh yes, it's quite wonderful, but your card cost quite a bit. But now I know how much you love me, again. My babies, of course, made Valentines, and I was rather surprised to see first the Indian, then the others followed, sneaking up to the Valentine postbox and slipping one with my name diligently copied on. Gilbert went the whole way and put my name on every one of the ones he made. He probably didn't know what he was doing, but believe me, I didn't prompt any of it. You can tell Mrs. Newman that the school is usually warm enough, and do thank her for the Christmas card. I'm sorry I didn't acknowledge it, but don't tell her this. I don't think it's wise for me to correspond with other parents. There's still quite a discussion around the school about how all the inside news gets out, and how all that group of mothers know all the details of the various occurrences around the school. Well, now I can write about more personal subjects. Marshall was just reading everything I wrote on page 2, so hence the chit-chat. Maybe I'd better explain. You'll remember I was rather planning on getting a formal gown and going to the Bessborough with Marshall Saturday, and Monday an art affair at the Bessborough, and Wednesday Gordon's flight party at the Bessborough. My debut, I was calling it. In spite of Pop's disagreeing, I had decided to get a dress. A pale blue one, not being too conceited, I hope, but I did look nicer than I've ever looked. But I didn't get it Tuesday, as I wanted Miriam to see it Thursday. Well, as a Valentine present, she had asked me to go to the Navy show. Have you had it yet? Seats $1.50, $2.50 for civilians. All the Air Force went free, of course. However, quite a surprise to us, the school was invited. No other school was, but the Navy chief here is quite interested in our school, hence the invitation. We went and certainly enjoyed it. I didn't go with Miriam when it would cost quite a bit. Anyway, gee, am I dragging this out, but it's my past week's history. I wore my black alligator shoes since they are the only ones that fit my rubbers. It was warm. I got a blister on my baby toe. It broke, became infected, all this in the course of a couple of days, and did it ever kill my teaching. Thursday, Dr. Thorne, Sybil's dad, lanced it. I asked him when it'd be okay. He said Tuesday, and so I asked if I could go to a dance Saturday. If you go dancing at the Bessborough this Saturday, you'll be dancing in the cemetery next Saturday. Ooh, well, the dress was out and I had to stay off my feet, so went to bed with a big why in my mind. Of all times, why should this happen to me? Marion thought it was quite funny since she hadn't thought I ought to go anyway, and besides I was beginning to think I was too good. I missed the kiddies' Valentine party and told Miriam to tell Marshall I was sorry, and I felt very noble and thwarted and sorry all through the night. I know, I'm a baby. The foot had quite a time. The poison was part way up my leg. I had to bathe with Ectiol dressing. Don't worry or tell anyone. Marion was really swell when it really got bad, so I forgave her for not sympathizing at first. Saturday morning it was quite a bit better, and Miriam phoned to say that Marshall was very sorry. Would I spend the weekend with them until my foot was better? I was really tired of our room and no place to go if I could, so I said okay. They got me in the car Saturday afternoon. It's now Sunday night, and I've had a swell time. They've all been wonderful, waited on me hand and foot. I know as if I'm not spoiled enough now, eh? Anyway, Marshall got the car and we went to a show Saturday night. We drove to Sybil's today, and Dr. Thorne looked at my foot and wants me to go down again tomorrow, so I'm missing quite a bit of school. However, Downer told Marion, "Take care of that girl. It's dangerous, you know." So here I am. Marshall just drove down to the station and will be gone to Edmonton. He gave me his photographed picture and says he's going to write every day and wants me to go to his graduation in Edmonton at Easter. Don't worry, folks, since I haven't even slightly agreed yet and been quite reticent on the whole matter. I'm so glad the house deal's not off. I'm proud of Pop's paycheck and simply loved Bud's letter. Marshall decoded the dots and dashes, and I don't think I could have a sweeter brother. Remind me sometimes to do more about it. I loved the eats, especially when I couldn't get around to cook. I'll love Mom coming, although our rooms aren't so wonderful. Miriam's invited you to sleep with me, Mom. Did I ever miss you when I was under? Ooh, and my ecstasies over my class pin. I raved for an hour about how happy I was. So my life goes. Think she found her pin. One minute everything's wonderful, and the next, why? I'm asking for Dr. Thorne tomorrow, and if I can go to the Bessborough Wednesday now. I told Gordon I'd go informal, and he said it was okay. I got an airmail letter from Frank saying he was transferred to Mossbank, and he wanted me to be in Regina this weekend. I haven't answered yet, so he'll know I couldn't make it. Besides, when I go to Regina, it'll be to see you. Maybe I'd better be agreeable, though, if it doesn't disturb my own plans. Ooh, that's not supposed to sound so independent, but it does. Anyway, the Parrots want me to stay until my foot is completely better. It's really grand of them. Miriam is out tonight. Sunday Marshall's gone, so I'm waiting for Miriam now. It seems so long since I was back in our rooms, and I'm still glad I'm associating with Miriam. 'Tis Monday. I had breakfast in bed this morning, bathed my foot, dinner, read part of The Robe, fiction but very good, slept, and then went down to see the doctor. He cut some more stuff out and wrote a note to teacher for me and says I can go back tomorrow, but not to wear a shoe. Right now I'm over at the office. Miriam's balancing books. After supper she's going to drive me home and so back to school. My week. FRS. So glad Bud had fun at the party, and he can have the little snapshot album. I hope he gets more put into it than I did. Thanks for the description of the house. I really think you ought to try to swing it. How about me coming home to 1155 Althall? Tell me more. Bye now. I love you all, and I wish I could see you more often. It's a heck of a feeling to think that your whole life goes on, and you don't even miss me, 'cause I miss you. Love, Ruth. Government of the Province of Saskatchewan, Department of Education, School for the Deaf, 818 13th Street, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Friday, February 25th, 1944. Dear Mother, thanks for the sympathy, but didn't I say not to tell anyone? Mrs. Migdal and Mrs. Harbridge both sent notes. Mrs. Newman told them, talk about lightning communications. Remember, please. The foot's not perfect, but okay. I wore my shoe Wednesday night to Gordon's flight party at the Bessborough. Pretty good time. Beautiful ballroom, and home in a taxi. How's the house proceeding? Aren't there any others at all to your liking? I was pleased to get your letter so soon. It really makes me feel you do like me, even if Pop doesn't. Perhaps you could explain to him Marion is the girl I stay with, also teaches at our school, is from Theodore. Her folks farm there, and she went to Normal here last year and began teaching in September. We have radically opposite ideas, but get along okay now. She's 19 too, Presbyterian. Miriam is 22, has her BA. Her pop owns a few laundries, including the ones that do the washing for the Air Force stations. They live on Saskatchewan Crescent and have 2 cars. Marshall is her brother. We met at art class and go to the same church. Miriam and Marshall neither drink nor smoke, so they're not exactly as Pop thinks. Marshall wants me to go to the supper dance when he comes down on his next 48-hour pass in a few weeks. And I think I'll get a dress and go if fate wills it at all. Personally, I don't see a thing wrong with going to formals if you enjoy it. I don't think I'll ever forget how wonderful it made me feel, Mom, when you got your black velvet evening dress and came to say goodnight to me and looked so beautiful. Maybe some people just don't fit into that sort of life, but you did, and maybe I could too. We'll see. Thanks for the clippings. I was very interested in it all. Bye now, and I love it when you write so soon. Love, Ruth. Dear Bud, it was wonderful to get your note, dear, and I want you to know that a letter from Mom isn't complete until your little one is in, too. I'm quite proud of your dit das. You're in the Army Cadets, aren't you? Why couldn't you stick by the Air Force like I do? Just kidding, of course. I'll be very interested in seeing the plans, and I hope you try to swing it. The house deal, I mean. I would like to get home to see you and help the cause, but things are quite keeping up with me here. However, I'll be home either Easter weekend or the week before, unless other things intervene, you know. Gee, dear, did you ever make me feel good by mentioning the Valentine I would like to get most? I didn't get it, but anyway, it was swell of you to know. You're the only person that understands, you know. No one else even has the faintest idea. I quite rely on your judgment, you see. I went to the flight party with Gordon and had a very good time. Most everyone drank a lot, but I still stick to ginger ale. Hope you'll do the same someday. It was at the Bessborough in a beautiful ballroom, big mirrors. No matter what Pop thinks, I still like going to nice places like the Bessborough. Please tell me what you think of Marshall. He's quite nice looking. He went to university as an engineer, is very spoiled, and he's now using your dit-das in his letters. Don't tell anyone, but I like Bill better still. Darn. I've got a new pupil, Lawrence, and he's Russian, and all he knows is a few Russian words, so I have quite a time. It all sounds like pushy to me. Do you plan on coming up when Mom comes? I'm glad in a way that I don't get time to stay at home too long. We get along so much better when we see each other for just about 2 days. But I still love you and would love to help you, quote, crawl around. How about going to the Met store and having a couple of pictures taken with your new glasses? One with, one without. Bye. Love, Ruth. Dear Mummy, ooh, is my seat ever sore. Last week I sat down in school because of my foot, and this week I'll be standing up. Explanation, we went tobogganing this afternoon. We being Miriam, Dennis, Keith, and I. They are Air Force boys from number 4 Flying Center. Dennis is Ted's boyfriend and said that Ted is tired of his isolation. We really had fun, though. Saskatoon has the best hills, and we went flying halfway across the river at times. I'm having supper at Miriam's now. Last night Gordon left for Ontario. He came up from 7 o'clock until about 9:30. I didn't go to the station with him as Miriam and Tony and John called for me in a taxi, and we went to a dance at the Cavern, similar to the Trianon. We really had a swell time. They are 2 of the boys that I mentioned have been down a number of times on 48-hour passes and are now stationed here, also at number 4. We had banana splits after and came home in taxis. Marion has been remonstrating with me for not denying myself for Lent. She's giving up dancing, but since she hasn't had any invitations yet, I don't think it's fair. Lottie sent me over a fish, really lovely. The girls were up when I was away for the weekend. They invited me over for dinner today, but since I was coming here, I said next Sunday. Marion's invited too. Nice, eh? Lottie was in church this morning, and since the service was on self-denial, she asked me what I was giving up. She said, "Your mother used to make me laugh. She wouldn't give up dances or shows, but gave up sugar in her tea." So I guess I'm not so wicked. I heard from Marshall again. He hasn't written to his family yet. Anyway, he's cross because I haven't written yet, but I've been so busy. He's coming down in 3 weeks and wants to go to the supper dance then, so I guess I'll get a dress. Oh, John was from Suffolk. He's very nice, good-looking, and a beautiful dancer, but a blonde. Too bad. Anyway, he mentioned when I told you were from Southwold that the, quote, big guns from Napoleon's time or something on a hill in Southwold were buried at the first of the war. I didn't think you'd know, but anyway, I told you. My foot's okay, although not completely healed. The dancing didn't seem to hurt it. I hope to go to more dances. I enjoy them so much more than shows. I missed the mail Friday, so bye now. I love you, Ruth. 818 13th Street, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. March 12, 1944. Dearest Mother, your letter was the most welcome one last week. It's terrific. But I still get the biggest urge to come home whenever I'm still enough to think about anything but work. Marion says it's natural because it's a longer stretch from Christmas until now than it was from Thanksgiving until Christmas. The time has gone very quickly, though, except that I just feel the need of my family again. 4 weeks from today, I'll be home. I'll probably come on the bus Thursday after 4, but we'll see. Maybe you'd better give me your opinion, Mom. Do you think I ought to even consider going to Edmonton for Marshall's graduation? He wants me to, but I don't know. He'll get his wings and sergeant stripes, and they have a banquet and supper dance. They probably wouldn't let me off from school as it's Thursday, the day before Good Friday. I doubt if I will, but give me your ideas, eh? I've been working practically steady. I'm just beginning to feel the weight of my 2 classes. If I get them both, it'll be a wonderful feeling, but as it is now, everyone thinks I'm doing too much. Something's bound to get neglected, and this week it was recreation. I had to work every night, and felt quite a martyr at times, but with a bit of foresight I guess it'll be worth it. I went to a hockey game Saturday, the only deviation from work, reading and writing on my essays. It's all very interesting. Work on Thomas Hardy, the novelist. I read his book, The Return of the Native, in 2 nights, and liked it very much, except that it is so much the same as his Far from the Maddening Crowd. I do hope you try to read The Robe, Mom. It's a very high type of fiction. In our art reading, I've become quite enamored with Rodin, the sculptor. I hope I'll be able to visit some art galleries in the not-too-far distant future. I can't really say I've seen anything great in the work of art yet, but I do want to. It was nice to read Grandma's letter. Would it ever be nice if the kids could be back for her golden wedding anniversary? But I don't think the war will be over. It's funny Pat's at the same station as Gordon is, St. Thomas. I've had a few letters since he arrived down there, but he doesn't seem to like it especially. Gee, Mom, I hope your teeth aren't bothering you too much now. I'm afraid I'm going to be a sister in misery, and not very far distant either. My teeth really look like they're going to all fall apart, especially the back ones. Please do send the lipstick, and many, many thanks. Mine is cleaned out, and I hate red so. Don't bother with the rouge, but I'd advise you to buy an extra lipstick, because they aren't making that in any other line. I'd like it at the latest for Saturday. I've got my dress and getting silver sandals. I think I'll enjoy it. Wish you could be here. Love, Ruthie. We have a letter from the National Easter Society from May 31st, 1994, to my mother, Ruth Smallshaw Ray. May 31st, 1994. Dear Ruth, I am pleased to announce that your lily art has been selected for reproduction as a 1995 Easter seal. Currently, each sheet of seals sent through the mail to approximately 13 million Easter seal donors and prospects across the nation consists of 6 individual images. Yours will be one of them. The seal sheets are put to use primarily to raise funds through the mail to help support quality programs and services for children and adults with disabilities. The seal art will be officially unveiled in November at the Easter Seal Convention to be held in Cleveland. The actual Seal Appeal mailing drops in February, but because of the scope of the project, the wheels begin turning within the next week. In order to have your art be a part of the seal sheet, we must have a signed release from you on file. If you have not received and returned a form yet, please contact the Easter Seal Society of Northeast Ohio. As soon as there is some news I feel you would appreciate knowing, I'll be in contact with you. Thank you so very much for your creative contribution, and congratulations. Sincerely, Dan Riegler, Creative Director, Development and Direct Marketing, National Easter Seal Society. Now we have 3 comments on the original publication, and the first is from the author, from my mother, Ruth Smallshaw Ray. When Patricia M.D. helped me take down the boxes of my letters to Mother from her attic that Dad and Bud had put there, little did I realize that we were opening a Pandora box of emotions, reminiscences, nostalgia. My memoirs of 19 years old to Mother that had lain there for 52 years. Mother had asked me what to do with all my letters, and I had glibly said, "Oh, save them," and she did. Even when I brought them home, I hadn't read them. It wasn't until you read them to the family around the fireplace. These letters have made me quite introspective about my earliest days. I certainly was a free spirit. Miriam was a wonderful friend. She really opened up a whole new life for me, and her family were so good to me. Miriam died at age 23. I remember I felt like Cinderella at the ball. I loved the dancing, the Bessborough Hotel, the lights, the chandeliers, the mirrors, my dress. Actually, it was a very heady time for me. The fellows were all in uniform, mostly Air Force, and all handsome. The music was very nostalgic. I'll be seeing you. When the lights go on again. You went away, and some didn't come back, a lot. It was wonderful to have a reunion with Marion. We each remembered things the other had forgotten. We each remembered the other as being risque. Marion was the closest I had to a sister after Miriam died. We lived together for 5 years. We were each other's bridesmaid and matron of honor. So, Peter, see what you started. Thank you, for I saw Marion and Jack from Edmonton again, Bonnie and Jack from Ottawa, and we visited Elva and Ron, too, back to age 21. There is a destiny which shapes our ends. Blessings, Ruth Smallshaw Ray, Rocky River, Ohio. And the second comment is from John S. Ray, my father, my mother's husband. SFMC number 15 has been received and greatly enjoyed. Particularly enjoyed the front cover. The colored picture of the renowned Bessborough Hotel is most appealing. Your letter from the editor is touching. The fact that the letters your mother wrote so many years ago to her mother has reconnected you and your mother is remarkable. I greatly enjoyed reading your mother's letters also, because I also learned much about her most interesting history, which I did not know. Thank you. John S. Ray, Cleveland, Ohio. And the next comment is from Patricia A. Ray, my sister, my mother's daughter. I've enjoyed tremendously reading Mom's letters in the SFMC. It is fascinating to get a sense of her personality at age 19. Thanks so much for typing and printing them. A major effort, Peter. Merry Christmas. Patricia A. Ray, M.D., Boston, Massachusetts. And there's another comment from Patricia A. Ray. What a lot of fun it is to read Mom's letters when she was 19 years old, so full of life and ambition, a precious glimpse into Mom as a young woman. Thank you so much for typing them up. And am I glad I helped to retrieve them from Grandma's attic. I can hardly wait for the sequel. Patricia A. Ray, Boston, Massachusetts. The next comment is from Tessa J. Dolina, the Secretary of Restless Educational Center in the Philippines. Dear Sir, a prosperous new year to you. I really enjoyed reading your recent publication, Compiled Letters, which you patiently compiled, typed, and published. I am very sure your mother greatly appreciated it. Reading through the letters gave me a glimpse of the past, which showcased a culture that was unaffected by today's complexities of life. What impressed me most were the simple things and lifestyles of the people, and how these shaped their future. I hope there will be a sequel to this. Congratulations on the job well done. Tessa J. Delina, Pasig City, Metro Manila, Philippines. And here's another letter from Ruth Smallshaw Ray, the author. When I left home in Regina at age 18 in March 1943 to teach at the School for the Deaf in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and wrote home often, my mother, Augusta Smallshaw, asked, "What should I do with all of your letters?" I said, "Oh, save them." She took me at my word, and eventually my father and brother Bud put the boxes up in the attic at 1251 Argyle Street, Regina. When Patricia M.D. helped me to take down the boxes from the attic, and we brought them to Cleveland in 1994, little did I realize that you would read them and even put them into an SFMC in 1995. Nor did I suspect what memories it would evoke in me. What nostalgia! Oh, to be 21 again! I don't remember what I wrote to Marion and Bonnie in 1995, but it prompted them both to come to Regina in June with their husbands. Marion and Jack from Edmonton, Alberta, and Bonnie and Jack flew from Ottawa, Ontario. How exciting! Marion and I talked for 2 days. We had taught and lived together in Saskatoon for 3 years and 2 years in St. Augustine, Florida. I was her bridesmaid in Edmonton, December 1949. Right after my first date with John, and she was my matron of honor. In August 1950 at our wedding. We had not seen each other since 45 years. So thank you, Peter, editor, for finally connecting me with my past. And with you. It was a very exciting time for me. Blessings, Ruth Smallshaw Ray, Cleveland, Ohio, USA. Well, that concludes today's presentation. Dearest Mother, Love Ruthie. Ruth Smallshaw Ray's Letters to Her Mother, 1944, Part 3. You might consider liking and subscribing. Good luck to you with your efforts in family history if this interests you, finding, preserving, and sharing old letters, diaries, and photographs, and interviewing elderly relatives while they're alive. You might consider checking out our website, Adventures in History with Peter J. Ray at peterjray.com. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care. And I'll see you next time.